Welcome to Education Forum. I'm Herman Badillo, Chairman of the Board of Trustees of the City University. The improvement of education affects all New Yorkers. This program will focus on the key educational issues and challenges before us all. My guest today is Dr. David A. Caputo, who is the president of Hunter College. Dr. Caputo is a graduate of Miami University in Ohio, where he got his bachelor's degree, and then he got his master's degree and his PhD at Yale. He became the president of Hunter College in 1995, and prior to that he spent around 25 years at Purdue University in various capacities and received a great number of honors and recognitions along the way. Before we get started with him, I think it'd be useful to get a little bit of a view of Hunter College. So we'll do that now.
Faces. These are the faces of Hunter College. They express and personify the lifeblood of an institution. For 125 years, Hunter has distinguished itself as an oasis of learning within an urban landscape. From its founding to the present day, the college has been committed to providing access and opportunity for those who cherish the dream of higher education. These are portraits from the past and present that represent the Hunter College community. A community with textures created by a uniquely diverse student population, punctuated by the rich melodies of dialect, the music of different cultures, and the noise of learning. These provide for a powerful dynamic that forms the fabric of Hunter's student body.
Dr. Caputo, Hunter College is the largest campus of the City University, which surprises me because you're in Midtown Manhattan, really, 68th Street and Park Avenue. How many students do you have?
This fall we have 20,002 students, and I'm pleased to say we draw students from all 5 boroughs.
And is the number larger than before?
Yes, we grew slightly this year.
Okay. Now, tell me, what does Hunter College specialize in? I know that traditionally it was the college for women, isn't that so?
That's correct. It began in 1870 as normal college for women going into teaching. It developed by the early part of the 1900s into a very strong liberal arts background. And I would say our strengths today and what makes us unique among the City University senior colleges is that we combine very strong arts and sciences with outstanding professional programs in nursing, the health professions, social work, and education.
And what's your percentage of men and women now?
We remain largely a female institution, about 72% women, 28% men.
Now, one of the problems, as you know, that we've had at CUNY has been the question of teacher education, because we have been threatened by the Board of Regents that they would stop teacher education at some of the campuses, such as City College and others, because a large percentage of the teachers who got a degree in education could not pass the teacher's exam in English. What's the experience at Hunter?
Our experience at Hunter has been very good. We've long been noted as an outstanding urban teacher education program. We've had very able leadership with our soon-to-retire Dean Hugh Scott, but Hunter has always been above the threshold, and in fact, we've been a leader within CUNY in terms of the tests and in teacher education in general.
How many students do you have in teacher education?
Approximately 2,500 at both undergraduate and graduate combined.
And do they pass the exams and go on to teach?
Yes, most of them do. In fact, we have a very strong relationship with several of the school districts in the city, especially District Number 4, which is East Harlem. We also place our teachers throughout the city in other districts.
Well, that's very important to me and to the city, because William Thompson, the president of the Board of Education, was here recently, and as you know, there's a tremendous teacher shortage in New York City, and we want to get a large number of students to go into teaching and to teach in New York City, not to go to the suburbs, although I know they pay much more money in the suburbs, but we need them in the city. Now, if somebody's watching the program and wants to be a student at Hunter College, what would the requirements be?
If they were coming into our education program as an undergraduate, they would,
or anything else?
they would need an 86 average. They would have to have SAT scores. They would also have to have a requisite number of the college preparatory units, CPI units, in terms of being able to apply and get into Hunter.
That's a pretty high standard, isn't it?
It is a high standard, and it's one that we've increased each of the years, and we're looking to increase it again next year.
And do you find you have no problem getting students into the college because of the high standards?
Our understanding is that we remain the top choice among students. I think if you look at what the various rating organizations have, such as Princeton Review and the Newsweek, in terms of their rating of colleges and so forth, you'll find that Hunter is the top ranked academically of all the CUNY campuses.
Now, do you get involved with some of the schools, elementary and secondary schools?
Yes. Let me just say, related to the teaching education issue, I am co-chairing the Board of Regents Professional Practices Standard Board. This is a group of 28 individuals that review the various criteria that the regents are using to implement their program called Teaching to Higher Standards. This will have tremendous impact across teacher education throughout the city schools and across the state. We meet monthly, usually 3 days a month, for our various meetings. One of the key things, and I think the reason why I wanted to mention this is a time of tremendous opportunity for teacher education programs, and we do get involved. I'm pleased to say, for instance, under the new state certification, students are required to have a certain number of hours of actually being in the classroom. Our students are already exceed that number in terms of the requirements in the classroom. I think our program and certain other programs across the City University are very strong and will continue to be leaders across the state in terms of urban teacher education.
Well, the standards are going up on everything, of course, so especially now with the Board of Regents taking the very rigid position that they're taking, that you have to have at least over 80% of the students who go into teacher education passing the teacher's exam. Otherwise, you might lose the accreditation.
That's correct. And with the further requirement that if the student graduates from your program, you are responsible for that pass rate for that student. That's slightly different. In the past, they permitted you to certify a student. So a program could say, grant a degree to a student but not certify them, and that has now changed. And we think that'll be a very accurate way to depict how a program is doing.
Now tell me, do most of the students at Hunter come from New York City high schools, or do they come from elsewhere?
No, most of our students are drawn from public high schools throughout the city of New York. And as I mentioned, from all 5 boroughs, we do have a considerable international contingent, and we do draw a few students who are drawn nationally to Hunter.
And what's the average age of your student body when they come into the Hunter College?
It is interesting. A lot of people think of the City University as being atypical. Our students tend to have an average age of 22, 23 years when they begin. So they are not that much different than most of the national profile. We have a large number of first-year students who begin immediately after high school.
Well, if they are about 21 or 22, what were they doing when they graduated from high school, or did they graduate from high school when they were about 20 years old?
No, most of them graduated at 18 and 19. And what they've done in many cases is they had to work for a year to get the money to be able to pay their tuition, or they had other experiences.
Okay, now what is the average graduation rate at Hunter College?
Our graduation rate for 7-year average, which is usually what is looked at across urban campuses, would be 34%. This is an area that is great concern to us because we'd like to have it to be higher, and we're looking to find out why students leave us. We know that a lot of students leave us for a variety of reasons, some academic, some personal, and some because they have an opportunity to transfer to other schools.
Well, what we have to do is we have to follow up and see what happens to the students. I find that this is a problem at CUNY that we haven't had at 80th Street, the central office, a method of following up on what happens to the students when they leave.
One of the things we're doing at Hunter right now is we're doing extensive performance measures and benchmarking. And one of the performance measures that we're using to look at every department, every one of our academic programs, is the 4 6, and 7-year graduation rates, so that we can find out which departments are more successful, to see if we can find out why they might be and what's unique about their curriculum. It is an issue. It is an important issue. It's important to our students, and therefore it has to be important to us.
Yeah, because we really do want the students to graduate at a much higher rate. I mean, there's no reason why the rate should not be comparable to some of the other universities in New York City and of SUNY.
Well, when you look at us across 7 and 8 years, we're above the national average for urban university. Now, why do our students take this amount of time? In many cases, it's because of family commitments, especially given the preponderance of women. They're either the primary caregiver, or they're the secondary caregiver for a parent, or in some cases they stop out, what we call stop out, for a semester or two to get money together in order to come back. So it's a complex set of things, and what we're looking at is what can we do to make it easier and seamless for them so that they don't have to drop out.
Well, what percentage of the students receive tuition assistance?
In terms of our total student enrollment, about 70% of our students receive some sort of financial assistance.
So that is the problem that the tuition assistance plan isn't extensive enough? Because if they get tuition assistance, they wouldn't have to drop out for that reason.
They get tuition assistance, but again, if they're a primary caregiver in a family, they have to be concerned about what lost wages they might have while they're in school or other things. So I think there are other factors. It's a complicated set of things. I think for the student who has a reasonable economic background, and they're able to complete their education. Students who are forced or because of circumstances must provide for others than themselves, it's very difficult.
What percentage are students who are married and have children, would you say?
I don't know the number. I think it would be probably in 20 to 25%.
Okay, well, we should look into it to see if we can recommend to the legislature what additional assistance might be provided.
One of the things we've put great emphasis on in the last 2 to 3 years is trying to raise additional scholarship funds as a way to help to supplement whatever other aid the students are receiving. And we know that that helps. In some cases, just being able to provide a student with a short-term loan makes a great deal of difference in terms of whether they drop out or don't drop out. There are other reasons other than their economic situation. For instance, sometimes we are not able to offer the classes that they need in sequence, so that they drop out to those classes or offered again. So we're looking at what we call our high-demand classes to find a way to be able to offer them more extensively.
Would it be possible to get the Queen's Foundation to provide more assistance to them?
Well, I'd love to have the Queen's Foundation help us, but it'd be the Hunter College Foundation.
Hunter College.
The Hunter
I don't think the Queen's can do it. I think Hunter can do better.
Thank you. They continue to offer and develop scholarship funds, and the Hunter College Scholarship and Welfare Fund, which has been in existence for 50 years, has an endowment of over $15 million, and they provide over $600,000 a year in scholarship support.
Okay, now we got to talk about remediation,
yes,
which of course is the hot issue these days, but let's see these announcements first.
Fine.
More than 140,000 Americans have joined Peace Corps. Returning home, their experiences last a lifetime. Meet Sandra Hood, a substance abuse counselor, and Jean Lee, a community services director.
Overall, my Peace Corps experience has enriched my life in ways that are very hard to define.
Peace Corps service prepares me for what I'm doing now because it taught me how to think quickly on my feet.
Peace Corps volunteers, changing America and changing the world. See how you can make a difference.
We're back with Dr. David Caputo, the president of Hunter College. Now, as you know, the hot issue these days is the issue of remediation, and a resolution which I sponsored and which was approved by the Board of Trustees provides over a 3-year period for the elimination of remedial assistance at the senior colleges beginning this January, next January 2000, with Hunter, Queens, Baruch, and Brooklyn College. Now, since this affects Hunter College, how do you feel about the problem, and will you be able to deal with it at Hunter?
We've been working very hard at Hunter to be prepared for the new remediation policy. It actually is an extension of what we had been doing. We were the first campus to go to a one-semester policy after the 1995 board resolution, which permitted campuses to go to less than a year. And our one-semester policy had been very successful. So what we're trying to do is work so that the new policy can be implemented as seamlessly as possible, and as a way to really make sure that we do not lose students at Hunter who we feel belong at Hunter. And we think with the combination of things that we're doing, including programs which we started last spring, pre-application, pre-enrollment, as well as a new program called Prelude to Success, we're very hopeful that we'll be able to deal with this change in policy.
Now, the argument that my strongest critics make is, what do you do with a student who is, say, very bright in reading and writing, but very poor in arithmetic, or not so poor, but just barely misses it? How do you make sure that that student is not precluded from going to a senior college?
Well, what we would do now is, first of all, when a student applies, they have to meet the Hunter standards. If they meet those Hunter standards, they're then given their whatever placement test they have to take.
Okay, now let's say last April or May when they applied, what percentage of the students who otherwise met the Hunter standards could not pass one or more of the freshman skills assessment tests?
We had about 28% of our students fail one or more of the tests.
And which was the most common test?
The most common test was actually the writing portion, although writing, math, and then the reading part. And that was partly because of the language.
Now let's say you had 20-some percent who failed one or more of the tests. Did you then put them into summer intensive skills courses?
Actually what we did is we did a pilot program with some of those students who were high passes in areas, and we had them come to campus for a series of weekend workshops. And then they retook the test, and in many cases we had about an 85 to 90% pass rate at that point for those students. We also had a summer immersion program, and we also had, the students also had the ability to continue in regular remedial classes this fall. Now they won't be able to do that in the spring, so instead what they'll do, we continue the pre-enrollment, pre-admission workshops, we'll continue the pre-enrollment workshops, and then they'll also have the Prelude to Success as a possibility.
Okay, before we get to the Prelude to Success, you basically feel that you can meet the criteria of eliminating remedial work from the senior college at Hunter?
We're going to eliminate it. We feel very strongly and committed to that. There will not be any remedial coursework at Hunter College beginning in January, as the board has
Now let's talk about Prelude to Success, because that's an idea that was started between you and Borough Manhattan Community College. How does that work?
Well, President Perez and I, in a series of discussions, were talking about different ways we could get into cooperative arrangements. And we thought that the Prelude to Success program was a natural. And here's how it works. A student applies to Hunter, they're admitted to Hunter, then they fail to complete all of their placement tests. They then, in January, they then would have to go to a community college, which they will do. They will be enrolled at the Borough of Manhattan Community College, but they will take their classes at the Hunter campus, classes taught by BMCC faculty.
By the community college faculty.
By the community college faculty, both their remedial classes and their content courses, so that they can qualify for tuition assistance.
Well, at that point, are they enrolled in the community college or in the
They're
Hunter
enrolled
college?
in the community college.
So that they are enrolled in a community college, but they are attending with the senior college students.
That's correct.
Okay.
But they're not intermingled in classes.
Okay.
They're in completely separate classes.
Now, and how long will they be in the Prelude to Success classes?
They have one semester to complete it. They have to both complete all the remediation, plus they have to have a 2.0 average. If they have that, then they're automatically, we've agreed, the other courses that they're taking have been cleared with the faculty, and they're automatically then transferred into Hunter as Hunter students. So we think the advantages to the students are many. They get to go to the campus that they want to go to. They have the opportunity to complete their remediation. Hunter is not providing the remediation, and it means then that when they're finished, they can immediately continue their work at Hunter College.
And how many students would you have the capacity to do that for?
We're planning for for spring, between 100 and 150. We think the number will be somewhere between 75 and 100, because normally in the spring our admissions is less. In the fall, we could have as many as 150 students.
Right. Now, the resolution that I sponsored said that this elimination of remediation does not apply to Sikh students. Do you have Sikh students?
We do have Sikh students. We have a very large and flourishing Sikh. This fall, we had over 200 new admits to the Sikh program, And I'm pleased to say...
And what is the criteria for the admission of Sikh students?
They have to show academic readiness and the potential for academic readiness. And I must tell you that our Sikh students complete their remediation at the same rate, in some cases, in some areas, even above some of our other students. So we have a very strong Sikh program, and one that we think the students will do an excellent job.
So we're really not totally eliminating remediation, because the Sikh program is a legislative program, and in there, remediation will continue as in the past. Right?
They will have supplemental work in terms of additional tutoring and other things. In terms of actual remedial courses, however, that would change over a period. So it will not be changed in terms of what's currently going on. Same thing for the ESL student who whose language is other.
What about ESL? The English as a second language.
The English.
How many students do you have in that category?
Given the definition that is being used, and that is a student whose whose main language is other than English, and who has taken high school work outside of the United States. Given that definition, we think we may have between 50 and 100 students in a given year who qualify.
And where do they come from mostly?
They really come from all over. Some from the Caribbean, some from Eastern Europe bloc, and some from the Far East.
Now what happens with them?
They would be able to take a remedial series of courses that permit them to get their language and writing done. But they have to complete it within a reasonable period of time.
Okay, now another program that I've been pushing is the program that we call College Now, which is where a college in the city university begins to work with some high schools in the city. Are you working with any high schools now?
We work with a variety of high schools. For instance, we have a program with Julia Richmond, the former Julia Richmond complex, where we have some lab-based instruction. We work with the Hunter College campus schools, which are part of the city school system. We also work with several of the other science programs.
Actually, you have the Hunter College elementary school, too.
Right, that's correct.
Tell me about that.
The Hunter College campus schools, the elementary, both are schools for the intellectually gifted.
And that is an elementary and middle school and high school?
Actually, it's elementary and then a high school. It goes up from K through 12. And there's two different breakpoints, getting in at K or first grade, and then a breakpoint getting into the high school.
And when they graduate, do they mostly come into Hunter College?
We wish they would. In fact, that's been one of the major changes over the years. Many of these outstanding students now go to a variety of Ivy Leagues and other private schools, and we're concentrating trying to develop programs to get these students to campus sooner. We're looking, for instance, at a possible way for students to enroll as a junior or senior in high school as a Hunter College student.
Now, the students that you graduate from Hunter High School don't need remediation, do they?
Most of them do not, that's correct.
What percentage would you say?
My guess is that most of them would not. The only reason they would, if they went to a college that had exceedingly high standards that required things over and above what they would have as their high school.
Okay, now aside from your own high school and Julia Richmond, what other high schools do you work with?
We're in the process of developing a relationship with 6 other schools throughout the city.
High schools?
High schools.
Yeah.
And what we want to do is we want to partner with them beginning in the sophomore year, and to work with students who are interested in Hunter programs and in other things. Let me give you another example. Our School of Health Professions was a pioneer in a grant, a COPSI grant, which is a cooperative university community partnership grant, where we worked with students in the South Bronx, 9th graders, who in an asthma project. Part of that project is those students came to campus, took some classes geared to them in terms of introducing them to what health professionals do, in the hopes that that would encourage them then to go on through their high school and enroll in health professions programs. We'll know in another year how successful those kind of efforts are. But that's an example of an outreach. Another good example that I want to mention is in January of this year, we'll be working with the city public schools. We're going to be hosting 2 political conventions, a Democratic and a Republican convention, in which the students working with Hunter College students are going to be in a mock political convention, writing a platform, nominating candidates.
You're leaving out the Reform Party. Donald Trump is going to be very upset.
We had to make a choice, and we decided we could not do third parties.
Okay, so what do? They have mock conventions and then what?
So we hope that that will introduce over 1,000 students to being on a city university campus. They do not have to be seniors. There could be some sophomores and juniors there. And the idea is they will have some public speaking skills, some writing skills, plus they'll get to see a campus firsthand and interact with college students. We think it would be a great way to attract students to all of the city university and especially Hunter.
You're also famous for your School of Social Work.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
School of Social Work is a graduate level program only. It is usually ranked in the top 10 in the United States. It's an outstanding program. Dean Bogart-LeSure gives great leadership to it. The standard phrase is if you talk to, go into almost any social agency in the city, even across the United States, you'll run into a Hunter College social worker. It's a program that has an emphasis on client-based advocacy and has done very well over the years.
You have a Brookdale Center
Yes.
Downtown. Tell us about that one.
The Brookdale Center is where our health professions and nursing, schools of the health sciences are housed. And that's where both our graduate and undergraduate nursing programs and our programs in health professions are. Again, from talking with individuals, if you go into a New York City hospital, you almost invariably find a Hunter nurse on the floor providing excellent care and attention. We have a very exciting program in our health professions, and that is a Master's in Urban Public Health. And that is going very well, and that promises to be a groundbreaking and really a national model because it's a program that builds urban into the public health approach. And we think that will be a very major program for us.
Well, we could go on, but unfortunately we're all out of time, so thanks for coming.
Very good. Thank you.
You can reach us by email at our website, www.cunytv.cuny.edu, or write to us at CUNY TV, 365 Fifth Avenue, New York, New York, 10016. We look forward to hearing from you.